Hello guys and welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. Today I'm going to be filming a currently reading video. I've decided to do away with my monthly wrap-up videos just because I feel like they take a lot of time to collate, and by the time I finish reading a book like early in the month I can barely remember what I thought about it, even if I have been writing notes on it, and I feel like I'm just not doing most of these books justice, and having to, I guess, explain the plot and then say what I thought about it. I'm not really that much of a concise person, so it takes a really long time, and I feel like those videos end up being super long and not very helpful for the viewer anyway. So I'm actually going to start trying out to do like a vlog style wrap-ups where I will just sit down after I finish reading a book and talk about it, and then do that with each book and then collate it together at the end of the month and see how that goes. So I thought instead of that I would just do a currently reading video. Now, I said before in one of my other videos currently reading probably wouldn't be something I do a lot or even do, simply because I don't tend to read a lot of books at once. However, at the moment I find that I'm reading a couple of different books, so I thought I would just do a bit of an update on what I'm currently reading at the moment. So one of the books I'm currently reading at the moment is Girl Up by Laura Bates. I picked this up I think again in my April book haul. And I've just been dipping in and out of it. It's not really a book that you read like front to back really. You can just dip in and out of it. This book is basically aimed at teenagers, I would say. It's got a really young target audience, and I first heard about this book from watching one of Harriet Rose's videos. I just didn't realise the audience it was aimed at. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just feel like I'm a bit older than the target audience for this, and so it doesn't really resonate with me that much, and I don't find myself like reaching for it that much. It is actually the kind of book I would have loved when I was a teenager, like when I was in secondary school, when I was in sixth form, because it's really, really good. It's really funny, and it just has those alternative perspectives of things that you would have thought when you were a teenager. And I think this book really is what teenagers these days need. There's just so many funny bits in it. I'll flick through and show you some of the bits that I find very hilarious. Like, for example, there's this page about when he asked to see your tits, and there's a bit like she's got melons, she's got a pair of tits which is a bird, a pair of jugs and some bazookas. I think the book is very witty, and I think if you were a girl and you needed that boost of power behind you, a bit of confidence behind you, this book definitely would be it. There is also this page about when you receive dick pics. So again, it's just good stuff, like things that I never would have thought of, and I actually think they're quite witty, that you could have responded to guys sending you unsolicited dick pics. So I'm on page 158 in this book, and I'm going to keep on going. I just know that I know a lot of the stuff that's in this book, but it's still really good to actually read it. There's actually a really good part in this chapter, in one of the chapters, where it talks about like how she goes to a school, and it's like, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would you change? And she shows the difference between like girls and boys, and like how boys, a lot of the boys are just like, I'd probably be like a superhero or something. A lot of the girls really change a lot about their physical appearance, and I think reading something like this, or had I read something like this when I was a teenager, it probably would have like stopped me in my tracks and been like, actually, why am I being so hard on myself? It is as you grow up, I think you sort of find out these things, but maybe because there's not a lot of material out there that actually tells girls that, you know, boys really do not think in this drastic way that we do. I felt like this book really highlights how focused we are on really negative aspects of our lives, and how sometimes it's okay to slow down, and how some things will work out. It's got a lot of sections in there, like if you're being bullied at school and things like that, and how you usually, your life does turn around. And yeah, I think it's really helpful. I wasn't the happiest person when I was in secondary school. And I just feel like as I've gotten older I have really grown out of that, and things that seemed to matter so much when I was at secondary school, which rightfully they should have mattered because that's the age I was in, but a lot of those worries that I had are not founded now. Like, life is a lot better, so I feel like this book really does try to show that a lot of the things you're worrying about now, your body, all these sort of things, don't matter as much as you think they do, and don't let them run your life. So I'm really enjoying this book. I just, yeah, I've taken my time getting through it. The next book I'm reading is one on my Kindle, and it's called This Changes Everything, Capitalism versus the Climate. So this book is a sort of environmental book. I'm not really sure why I picked this book up. I'm not big on the environment. That sounds really bad to say, but I mean, I'm not like a person who's really super passionate about any of those things. I do a bit, but I'm not like, whoa. I think It's a book that's probably been recommended by a blogger that I follow. I've had it in my Amazon basket for ages, and I think I just really wanted to read something that would convince me to make a change about the things that I do in my life. So I actually think that's why I picked it up. I am currently on page 70 in this book, and this book is about over 500 pages long. It's one I'm going to dip in and out of, simply because I'm just not that interested. It sounds so bad. And it's also heavily focused on like American sort of climate change and American scientists. I haven't really got that deep into it for me to know that much about it. I mean, it is interesting, and I have found myself highlighting a lot of things. Yeah, it's interesting to see how much climate change is being ignored, but I'm also part of that, even though this is talking about like American and politicians and things like that and how much has been ignored by them. Also very much a part of that, but there are very interesting things that's brought up in the book, like for example how poorer countries are having to pay for the fact that richer countries have basically spoiled the earth, and like how loads of floods and really bad things are happening in poorer countries because of what we're doing in developing countries, or in developed countries, sorry. So it's things like that that you realise how bloody unfair life is, really. But yeah, I'm just going to read this book and see how I go. I know it's not one that I'm going to shoot through, but it's probably one, because it's on my Kindle. When I run out of books on my Kindle, I know it's one I can go back to and start reading again, but I'm just a bit bored of it, I'm not going to lie. The next book I'm currently reading is The Young Sorrows of Werther. I think this is by like Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I have been reading this book for a very, very long time. Again, it's a book on my Kindle. I think I picked this up when I was like, okay, I'm really going to go through and read like some classical books. I find this book very boring, which is why it's taken me a long time to get through it. And it's also written in quite like old style English, and it's not very interesting for me to go through. The basic premise of the book is a man who is in love with another woman named Charlotte, but he can't have her because she's engaged to someone, and I think like in the end he ends up committing suicide. So it's just about that. It's like a daily diary, and he's writing like every single day, like, oh, I saw Charlotte today, and blah blah blah, and the kiss of her lips and stuff like that. I mean, I can't remember if in the part I'm in he's actually kissed her or anything, but he does spend some time with her, and he's like super in love with her. But yeah, I'm determined to finish this book because I'm sure I've been reading it for over a year now. And as I said before, I tend to really power through my books. I want to finish them. I don't want to be like, no, I'm not reading that. Maybe there will come a point in my life where I'm like, it's not worth finishing books that I don't like. But it's not that I don't even like this book, I don't find it that interesting. I literally dip into it when I have nothing else on my Kindle to read. So if I finish a book on the tube and then I'm like, oh, I've still got about 15 minutes left of my journey, then I read it. But now I'm determined to put aside some time to finish reading it because it's a good idea. I actually have a couple of books on my Goodreads that have been sat there for a really long time. So after I finish this batch of like unread books, I'm going to go back and read those books because I think I need to, you know, finish off what I've started. So I've got one more final book that I'm actually going to start. So I haven't actually started reading it, but I'm going to include it because I'm just going to throw it into the mix. Why not? I'm sitting here, you know, reading books halfway through. Why not add in a book that I actually really want to read? The next book I want to read is Norwegian Wood by Murakami. Haruki Murakami. I have actually already read this book. I have a bunch of Murakami books on my bookshelf, and I was just looking through my bookshelf the other day and I was just like, there are so many of these books that I loved and I just want to start reading them again. I also want to reorganise my bookshelf. Currently my bookshelf is just full of books that as I read them I just put them on there because I think I have a whole bunch of books like in our attic and somewhere else, but when I built that bookshelf it was like basically really empty and I didn't have a lot of books in my room, so it was good at that time because I could just place books on there. But now I'm finding that actually I have less and less space as I'm filling it up, and actually I want that bookshelf in my room to be full of books that I love. So yeah, I'm going to go through and reread. Basically my aim is for the rest of this year to go through and reread the books on my bookshelf and keep the ones that I absolutely love and then move the ones that I don't love elsewhere in the house. So yeah, I'm going to read this Murakami book again. I really love his style of writing. I find it so calming. It's so different to any other style of books that I read. Even though I've read this book before, I actually could not remember what it was about, so I had to go and find out what the book was actually about. So this book is about a main character named Toru, and he is actually in love with his best friend's girlfriend. The book is actually a bit of a throwback, so it's set in the it's set in the past, but although these characters have grown up. It says he hears a Beatles song which then throws him back into the time when he was in college, and I guess what his life was like when he was in college. And it seems to be that something tragic happens to his best friend, and him and the girl that he really loves, they're trying to find a way to deal with it. And it's just about his isolation at college and how he, I guess, discovers life. I think he goes through a bit of boozing, a bit of free sex, free love and all that sort of jazz. I don't think it's a book where a lot happens, but it's more about the writing, I find, with Murakami than really any great story or plotline, or usually something really weird. I know a couple of his other stories are just like, I want to say eerie, but it's not really eerie. It's something different happens, but not something spectacular, and it's the way he writes about it. So I'm looking forward to reading this book again. I'll definitely do a full review on it after I've finished, but yeah, these are the books that I guess I'm currently reading at the moment. I am aiming to finish them all before the end of June. I have a couple of books that I have picked up now, and like I was given a book on my birthday, so I will do a book haul about all the new books that I'm starting to read, just because I have finished the books from my April book haul. If you would like to know anything more about any of these books that I'm currently reading, just leave me a comment below and I'll be happy to answer any questions about them. Review videos and a couple of them will probably be coming out. And yes, I'm going to work on filming those sort of vlog style wrap-ups rather than doing the whole huge wrap-up at the end. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.